Hello audience and viewers, welcome to my channel. Today, I am here to share you the concept of phase velocity, which is in microwave engineering and in physics too. So, to all the knowledge seekers and curiosity people out there, today we can simply learn phase velocity concept, which is in terms of resonant frequency derivation in only simple 3 steps. So, let's proceed. Now, coming to the definition of phase velocity, we can define phase velocity as the rate at which phase of the wave is changed in terms of guide wavelength is known as phase velocity. I repeat it. The rate at which the phase of the wave is changed in terms of guide wavelength is known as phase velocity. Here, people, please note the point that I highlighted 3 words in the definition. They are nothing but phase, guide wavelength and changed. I highlighted those words because we have to write these words in defining the phase velocity. Now, let me explain the definition. So, the rate at which, whenever we come across the word rate in the definition, it means that it is something which is related to the time factor. So, the rate at which means something is changing in accordance with the time. What is that particular aspect changing? It is nothing but the phase. As we are discussing about the phase velocity concept, it is the phase which is changing in accordance with the time in terms of guide wavelength. Means the derivation or something which we write about phase velocity is written in terms of guide wavelength. And now it is denoted by Vp. Vp is nothing but phase velocity. Here, whenever it is asked to write about phase velocity, a simple formula for phase velocity is Vp is equal to omega by beta, which equals to C by root over 1 minus lambda naught by lambda C whole square. It is a simple multiple choice question or 1 mark question which has to be written when asked about phase velocity, or the problems or numerical aspects related to phase velocity can be solved using these 2 simple formulas. They are nothing but omega by beta and C by root over 1 minus lambda naught by lambda C whole square. Here I gave a brief description about the terms used in the formula. We can learn them clearly coming in the video. Now, what does the C stands for here? C is nothing but speed of the light in the respective medium, whatever the medium be. So, when we are talking about the phase velocity, there it represents a constant called as C, which is nothing but speed of light, that equal to 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second, as we all know that. Now, coming to the lambda naught and lambda C. Lambda naught is nothing but fundamental cutoff wavelength. Lambda is something which indicates wavelength. We all know that. Now, lambda naught means fundamental cutoff. Cutoff is nothing but the limiting point, the point which shows a boundary for something, such that we should not exceed it or such that something which we should be in below it. So, lambda naught is nothing but the fundamental cutoff wavelength. Coming to lambda C, it is the cutoff wavelength for the rectangular waveguide. All the phase velocity, group velocity, all those concepts are related to the rectangular waveguide. So, for the rectangular waveguide, there should be a cutoff wavelength. It is represented using lambda C. So now, let us discuss about the derivation of phase velocity, as I told before, in just simple 3 steps. Now, we should represent the phase velocity mathematically, right? So, what we learned in the definition, as per the definition of phase velocity, it is the rate at which phase is changed and represented in terms of guide wavelength, right? So, as I told before, when we come across the concept of rate, there will be something which is definitely paired with it, that is nothing but time. So, we represented it with a time in the denominator. As we told before, it is represented in terms of guide wavelength. So, guide wavelength stands for lambda g. Now, Vp is equal to lambda g by t. I hope you all people clear about how does this Vp becomes equal to lambda g by t. And as we already know that frequency is inversely proportional to time and therefore f equal to 1 by t. Right. So now in the place of this 1 by t, we can replace it with the f. Hence, therefore, the phase velocity Vp becomes lambda g into f. Right. I think you all people cleared about step 1. Now, coming to the step 2. Now, we should divide and multiply this phase velocity with 2 pi, right? That means this Vp becomes 2 pi into lambda gf by 2 pi, right? We divided and multiplied this 2 pi with a whole and sole purpose, which will be known later. Now, when this lambda g in the numerator comes down to the denominator, it becomes 2 pi f by 2 pi by lambda g. Here we can denote these two objects with another constants. They are nothing but, we already know that omega equal to 2 pi f, right? Coming to beta, 2 pi by lambda g can also be equated with beta. Beta is the constant which represents 2 pi by lambda g. So we can write Vp equal to omega by beta, which is predefined in the definition part. Now, I think you all people cleared about step 1 and step 2. Such as simple steps, guys, to know about the derivation of phase velocity will be seen in this video. So now, coming to the step 3 of phase velocity derivation, here we need to take the help of characteristic wave equation. What does this characteristic wave equation stands for? It is something which represented in the terms of constants like h, gamma, omega, mu, epsilon, etc. So, there are two types of derivation for the same constant h. They are h square equal to gamma square plus omega square mu epsilon is one kind of a formula, and second one, h square equals to a square plus b square, where a stands for n pi by beta and b stands for m pi by a. But both of these formulas are generally used in microwave equations only. Now, when there are the same constant h square and h square, we can easily equate them, right? Now, so we can equate them. How can we equate them? Just simply gamma square plus omega square mu epsilon equal to m pi by a square plus n pi by b square. We can represent this equation as equation 2. Now, people out there, note this point that we represented Vp equal to omega by beta as equation 1 before. You can check. And now we represented this equation as equation 2. Here we need to take a particular condition, right? What is that condition? We need to replace the gamma here with 0 and omega here with omega c. As I already told that c is nothing but the speed of the light in that respective medium. Now, when we replace these constants with our pre-taken conditions, it is the equation 2 is changed as gamma square equal to 0. So we can remove it. Now omega square changed as omega c square. So omega c square mu epsilon equals to m pi by a square plus n pi by b square. We taken this equation, we consider this equation as 3. Now substitute this equation 3 in equation 2. Means what should we do here? We compared this whole term, that is m pi by a square plus n pi by b square, with a small term called omega c square mu epsilon. there is an equal to symbol between these both. That means we can replace wherever this particular term is used or wherever this particular term is used with the other one, right? So now while substituting this equation 3 in equation 2, it becomes gamma square plus omega square mu epsilon as it is equals to, as we are replacing it, so it is equals to omega c square mu epsilon. You got clarity, guys? I'll repeat it. There's nothing done here. We've just taken some conditions and then we have replaced it here. As we have replaced it here, we got a new equation and we considered it as equation 3, and just simply substituting equation 3 in this equation 2 by replacing the terms over here. It became like this. Now, as both are omega terms, we can take this term to the other side. That becomes gamma square equals to omega c square mu epsilon minus omega square mu epsilon. But here we need to note a point that we know that gamma equals to alpha plus j beta. If it is of the case that alpha equals to 0, then how gamma becomes? Gamma turns into j beta as alpha equals to 0. Then if we square the gamma, gamma square becomes j square beta square. As we all know that j square equal to minus 1. Now gamma square equal to minus 1 into beta square, nothing but minus beta square. Why we have considered all these equations here? Because we are going to represent or replace this gamma square with the minus beta square here. Now, as I told before, we have represented gamma square here with the minus beta square, and the right side terms are as it is, omega c square mu epsilon minus omega square mu epsilon. So when we passed out this minus to this side, it will obviously become beta square equals to omega square mu epsilon minus omega c square mu epsilon. That is nothing but we have multiplied this equation with the minus, and there the beta is retermed as root over mu epsilon into omega square minus omega c square. Nothing but we have sent this square here and it will square to the other side and it will obviously become root, and we taken out mu epsilon as common, then it will become omega square minus omega c square. Then all this equation is considered as equation 4. Now substitute is equation 4 in equation 1. What is the equation 1? It is nothing but Vp equals to omega by beta. Now when we substitute this whole beta equation in the place of beta here, Vp becomes omega by root over mu epsilon into omega square minus omega c square. Now we note that c equal to 1 by root mu e. That means c, that is speed of light, has two equations here. That is one equal to c equal to 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second, which is nothing but speed of light. And moreover that here now in the phase velocity concept, c equal to 1 by root mu e, right? And when we substitute this 1 by root mu e here, we can replace this term as c. So it becomes omega c here. Now from whole this term, when we take omega as common, how does it change? It becomes omega square into 1 minus omega c by omega whole square when we consider omega square as common. When omega square come out of the root, it becomes omega, right? Now this whole denominator term changes into omega into root over 1 minus omega c by omega whole square, and this omega in the numerator and this omega in the denominator gets cancelled, right? Now we know that omega equals to 2 pi f, right? As omega is directly proportional to f, we can replace omega with the f. So similarly omega c becomes fc and omega becomes f. So now we should replace this omega c by omega with fc by f in the equation. Then how does the phase velocity change? Then Vp becomes c by root over 1 minus fc by f whole square. That is nothing written here, nothing but that Now we know that Fc equals to C by lambda C and F equals to lambda naught by C. You're clear, right? Fc equals to C by lambda C and F equal to C by lambda naught. When we cross multiply both, Fc by F gives an output nothing but lambda naught by lambda C. So we can just replace this here in the terms of Fc by F. Then finally phase velocity becomes C by root over 1 minus lambda naught by lambda C whole square. It is what the equation nothing but we wrote in the definition part. So simply completed. Here, as I told before, we have completed the derivation of phase velocity in just 3 simple steps. So now let us take a review of what we have discussed in this video. We have discussed about the concept of phase velocity and we represent this phase velocity in terms of resonant frequency. First we define the phase velocity. It is nothing but the rate at which phase changes and which is represented in terms of guide wavelength. So obviously it becomes Vp equals to omega by beta and that equal to C by root over 1 minus lambda naught by lambda C whole square, which is what we have proved in the step 3. And next, and as per the definition, we have mathematically written Vp as lambda g by lambda t, and as we know that F equal to 1 by t, we replace it 1 by t with the F, means divided and multiplied the Vp with 2 pi. In the step 2, when it got divided and multiplied, we bring down lambda z into denominator. As we know that beta is equal to 2 pi by lambda z, and 2 pi f equal to omega. We just simply represented Vp as omega by beta and considered it as equation 1. And then we came to the step 3, which is nothing but the characteristic wave equation. There are two types of formulas with which we can represent it h square. They are nothing but gamma square plus omega square mu epsilon and a square plus b square. We represented a as n pi by b and b as m pi by a and simply equated these both equations. When we equate them, we took two conditions. They are nothing but gamma equals to 0 and omega equals to omega c. We just simply substitute them in the equation 2 and whatever the final output came, we just represented it as equation 3. And when we substitute this equation 3 in the equation 2, we got an equation which is in the terms of gamma square. As we know that gamma equals to alpha plus j beta and alpha is considered as 0, then gamma square becomes j square plus beta square. J square into beta square. J square equals to minus 1, hence gamma square ultimately becomes minus beta square. And simply we represented in the minus beta square in the equation, and when we change the sign, we got beta equal to root over mu epsilon into omega square minus omega c square by taking out mu epsilon as common. Now substitute this equation 4 in equation 1, which is nothing but Vp is equal to omega by beta. And then when we represent beta in this equation 4 in terms of beta, then we took omega square as common. When we took omega square as common, it becomes 1 minus omega c by omega whole square. And when this omega square came out of the root, it become omega like this. And as we all know that 1 by root mu epsilon equals to c, so we represent this 1 by root mu as c itself in the numerator, and this omega and omega gets cancelled and it becomes c by root over 1 minus omega c by omega whole square. As we all know that omega equals to 2 pi f and omega is directly proportional to f, we can write omega c as fc and omega as f. Then we can replace it in the terms of omega c by omega whole square, which becomes Vp is equal to c by root over 1 minus fc by f whole square. And finally, fc equals to c by lambda c and f equals to c by lambda naught. When we cross multiply them, it gives an output of lambda naught by lambda c. We just simply replaced it with here, and finally the phase velocity becomes c by root over 1 minus lambda naught by lambda c whole square, which is we wrote in the first definition, hence proved. When we talk about the phase velocity concept, the small formula which we can write about phase velocity is nothing but omega by beta. And when it comes to the derivation part, or if others ask to represent the phase velocity in terms of frequency or the wavelength, then we should use all these both forms and hence proved. So guys, as I told before, I represented this phase velocity concept in just simple 3 steps. So to know more concepts like this, the knowledge seekers out there, please subscribe to my channel, share, comment and like to this video. Thank you. Bye bye. We'll meet in our next video.